Once upon a time, there was... No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to sing. But I do want to tell some tales of the tavern that spawned this song. New York, 1952. Feet are tapping to Charlie Parker, and a curvy blonde called Marilyn Monroe is turning heads in Hollywood. On January the 20th, a young Welshman and his wife set sail on the Queen Mary. It's Dylan Thomas's second tour of the US, and he's attracted quite a following. The New York Times raves. Dylan Thomas's voice has added a new dimension to literary history. The typical reader will become entranced after hearing him recite. Between readings, he and Caitlin hang out at the White Horse Tavern in Greenwich Village, an old wood frame building, once the haunt of a longshoreman. Maybe he likes it because it reminds him of Swansea Docks. Now, customers flock in the hope of hearing poems. Time magazine says, when he settles down to guzzle beer, which is most of the time, his incredible yarns tumble over each other. Truth and fact become hopelessly smothered in boozy invention. Fights between the couple are an added attraction. Caitlin remembers. Another awful evening I was with him at the White Horse Tavern when some woman came in, whispered in his ear, and he walked off with her as meekly as a lamb. It stank a mile off, and I went into a decompression. I don't know how I got back to the Chelsea hotel. Someone must have put me in a taxi. Dylan writes back to a friend in Wales. We were killed in action, Manhattan Island, spring 1952, in a gallant battle against American generosity. An American called Double Rye shot Caitlin to death. I was scalped by a bourbon. Dylan Thomas drank his last whiskey in the White Horse Tavern in November 1953, but writers carried on gathering there. James Baldwin, Allen Ginsberg, Jack Kerouac, and a young singer and poet called Bob Zimmerman, who in college became
home to her flat to sleep all day. Good night, baby. Good night, little man's on his way. Sleep tight, baby. Sleep tight, listen in the day. Listen to the lullaby of old
Thomas had in mind to write an opera about the rediscovery of our planet following atomic misadventure, a world devastated and silenced by global warfare. Excerpts from conversations with Igor Stravinsky. Igor Stravinsky said he was as enthusiastic about it as I was, and he wanted to arrange for his coming to visit me in California and to put up the structure of our proposed opera collaboration. In fact, he was on his way to meet me in Hollywood when he passed away, suddenly, after arriving in New York from England. This was a terrible blow to me, as well as those who knew Dylan Thomas's genius. During the following months, says Stravinsky, I thought of composing something to Dylan Thomas's memory. No poem of his could fit my purpose better than the one he had composed to the memory of his father. Do not go gentle into that good night. I use these beautiful verses without changing them, of course. It was completed in the spring of 1954. The world premiere was given by the Monday Evening Concerts in Los Angeles. Robert Kraft conducting, Aldous Huxley pronounced a dedicatory address. The opera project had been discussed at the Copley Plaza Hotel in Boston on the afternoon of the 22nd of May, 1953. This interview appears to have gone extremely well. As soon as I saw him, said Stravinsky, I knew the only thing to do was to love him. He was nervous, however, chain-smoking the whole time, and he complained of severe gout pains. His face and skin had the colour and swelling of too much drinking. He was a shorter man than I expected from his portraits, no more than 5'5" or 6. Negotiations with Boston University for the commissioning of the new work fell through, and Stravinsky had to try and find financial support elsewhere. Meanwhile, Dylan Thomas's health was now in serious decline. Shortly after his conference with Stravinsky in Boston, he returned to Wales. But on the 19th of October, he was back in New York for a number of public readings, after which it had been arranged that he should stay in Hollywood as a guest with Stravinsky. Tragically, this meeting would never take place. He died in St. Vincent's Hospital, New York, on the 9th of November, 1953. Stravinsky was in Hollywood awaiting a telegram that would announce the time of Dylan Thomas's arrival. On November the 9th, he writes, the telegram came. It said he was dead. All I could do was cry.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at the close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words have forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay, rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved it on its way, do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men near death, who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay, rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on that sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.